Hey friends, welcome back to this channel. We are discussing about the endocrine system, and right now we are dealing with the different types of endocrine glands. In our previous videos we have discussed about the crine system, the classification and characteristics of hormones, the priming effect, desensitization, downregulation, autocrine paracrine system, the mechanism of hormone actions, everything we have discussed. All the links of those videos will be in the description box, and the link of the total series will be appearing in this upper right side corner of your screen. Also it will be in the description box. So right now we are discussing about the endocrine glands, and we have already covered two major glands, endocrine glands. One is the pituitary gland, and another one is the adrenal gland. So today we'll be discussing about two sister glands. One is thyroid, another one is parathyroid. So let's see. So first we'll discuss about the thyroid gland. So thyroid gland, that is present on both sides of the trachea. So this is the trachea, this is the thyroid cartilage, this is the trachea system, and this yellow colored part is the thyroid gland. So this is thyroid gland, this is present on both sides of the trachea. Okay, so if we take a section of this thyroid gland, we'll see that there are some follicular cells. There are this kind of lobular structure which are generally called follicles, and these follicles are surrounded by these follicular cells which are deep purple color cells. These are the follicular cells, and the inner side is filled with colloidal substances. So all these follicles are filled with these colloidal substances, and within this colloidal substance, the the thyroid hormones, that is T3, which is also known as triiodothyronine, and T4, which is also known as tetraiodothyronine, these are produced. How they get produced we'll discuss right now. Okay, so this is one thyroid follicle. So let's say this part, this is a thyroid follicle, so we are discussing this. Okay, so this is one thyroid follicle. These are all follicular cells. You can see these are all follicular cells. Okay, and for the production of T3 and T4, that is the production of the thyroid hormones, we need iodine. Iodine is very much important. That's why if there is deficiency of iodine, there are thyroid gland related disorders like goiter and all. So how this iodine is helping in the production of thyroid hormone, we'll see right now. So this is a thyroid follicle. These are all follicular cell. This is the colloid. You can see this is the colloid of the thyroid follicle. So this is I minus. I minus means iodide in the plasma. So what is the major source of iodine? Different type of salt is the actually the major source of iodine in our body. Also there are some vegetables and fruits that can be a source of iodine in our body. So we should intake adequate amount of iodine for a good working condition for the thymus and thyroid gland. Okay, so this is the iodide in the blood, that is in I minus. So it is entering into the thyroid follicle or into the follicle. So this is entering into the follicle, and now there it is undergoing some reaction with peroxidase enzyme. What is the main function of peroxidase? It can degrade the H2O2, that is hydrogen peroxide, into water and oxygen. So whenever there is a degradation of oxygen, this peroxidase, what it does is it can convert this iodide or I minus into oxidized iodide. So this iodide get oxidized. So this is the oxidized iodine. And thyroglobulin is a component which is present in this colloid. In this colloidal substance, thyroglobulin is present. So that oxidized iodide then interact with the thyroglobulin, and it produce two things. One is monoiodotyrosine, another one is diiodotyrosine. You can see from the name that monoiodotyrosine means there is one iodine. Okay, and diiodotyrosine means there is two iodine, right? So diiodo. Now if we just add MIT and DIT here, MIT and DIT, that means MIT contain one iodine and DIT contain two iodine. So total मिला के there are three iodines. So MIT plus DIT, there are three iodines. So that is called triiodothyronine. Okay, and over here now DIT plus DIT, that means both two molecules have tyrosine. So 2 molecules of iodine plus 2 molecules of iodine, so there is total 4 molecules of iodine, so 4 iodine, so that is called tetraiodothyronine. Okay, so that's how triiodothyronine and tetraiodothyronine is produced. Okay, and after that this T3 and T4, they bind with the thyroglobulin. Again, thyroglobulin, we have already discussed over here that thyroglobulin is present in the colloid. So whenever they bound to the thyroglobulin, then there is a endocytosis stimulated by TSH. This TSH is nothing but thyroid stimulating hormone, and that TSH being released from the anterior pituitary. Okay, and when there is endocytosis, that after that there is vesicle fusion at this part, and then T3 and T4 gets released, and they are bound to their carrier protein, plasma carrier protein. Okay, and they are ready to be transported to their respective target site. Now if over here, if you can remember the mechanism of action of thyroid hormone in our previous video, we have discussed that if T4 is released over here and T4 is going to the target site, within the target cell cytoplasm, this T4 will get converted into T3. So T3 is actually the functional form of this thyroid hormone. Okay, so that is one thing. I will suggest that you go and check back to the mechanism of action video of this series. Okay, all right, so as I have mentioned that iodine is very important for this production of thyroid hormone. What happens if iodine is not present in our body in an adequate amount? That time goiter is a disease which happens due to the deficiency of iron. Let's see what happens. So we are talking about the thyroid hormones, and we'll discuss when we have normal thyroid gland and we have adequate amount of iodine, and we'll also discuss what happen if we don't have adequate amount of iodine. So let's say first thing first, we have iodine is adequate in amount and we have normal thyroid. So what happens? So this is the hypothalamus. So from hypothalamus, thyroid releasing hormone will be produced. This TRH will act on anterior pituitary, so that thyroid stimulating hormone is being produced, and on the effect of TSH, the TSH will act on thyroid, and so then if adequate amount of iodine is present, then T3 and T4 will be produced. How? I have already discussed. By this mechanism of by these reactions, both T3 and T4 will be produced if iodine is present in an adequate amount. And whenever there is T3 and T4, we have already discussed in our previous videos that there will be a negative feedback mechanism on both the anterior pituitary and the hypothalamus. So there will be negative feedback mechanism, and this T3 and T4 will inhibit both the anterior pituitary and the hypothalamus, so that this will ultimately decrease the secretion or production of T3 and T4 from thyroid. Okay, because there is a negative feedback mechanism. But what happens if there is no iodine, no adequate amount of iodine? So what will happen is, when there is no adequate amount of iodine, this T3 and T4 will not get synthesized. In here we need iodine for T3 and T4 synthesis. If iodine is not present, good amount of T3 and T4 will not be present. Okay, so as a result, what happens is there is low level of T3 and T4, and due to this low level of T3 and T4, obviously there will be no feedback mechanism, because this feedback mechanism happens, negative feedback mechanism happens when there is adequate amount of T3 T4 secretion is already there. That time only this negative feedback mechanism will happen. That is true for all type of pituitary hormones. Okay, like which are the hormones which are being released, which are under the control of anterior pituitary and hypothalamus. They are all true, all are same. Like whenever there is adequate amount of secretion is there, then only there will be negative feedback mechanism. If T3 and T4 is in low concentration, there will be no negative feedback mechanism. So due to this low or no total shutdown of this negative feedback mechanism, the anterior pituitary and the hypothalamus remain in active form, so there is no inhibition of anterior pituitary, and as a result there will be excess secretion of TSH, that is thyroid stimulating hormone. So this TSH will act on the thyroid, and it will lead to growth or enlarged thyroid gland, which is also known as goiter or hypertrophy of the thyroid glands. So that is the goiter. So that's why iron deficiency is the major cause for goiter. So that's why we should take adequate amount of iodine. Now we'll discuss about another gland which sometimes we call the sister gland of thyroid, and that is known as parathyroid. Why they are called the sister glands? Because of their position. See, these are the thyroid glands. These are this yellow color gland. This is the thyroid gland, and this pink color small ball kind of structure, these are the parathyroid glands. You can see they are present in very close proximity, so that's why they are often called sister glands. So from parathyroid gland, what is released is parathyroid hormone. And what is the main function of parathyroid hormone? To increase the blood calcium level. Okay, that is the main function of the parathyroid hormone. And parathyroid hormone is released whenever the blood calcium level is decreased. So whenever there is a decrease in the blood calcium level, parathyroid will be activated, and parathyroid hormone, or sometimes called PTH, will be released. Now the main function of PTH is to increase the blood calcium level. How? They act on kidneys, and they causes reabsorption of calcium, so that there is decreased urinary excretion of calcium and increased blood calcium. Since there is decreased urinary excretion of calcium and there is increased reabsorption of calcium, obviously the blood calcium level will increase. Also it causes these parathyroid hormones acts on bone, and it causes dissolution of calcium phosphate crystals of the bone, so that the calcium from the bones are now present in blood. So there is increased blood calcium level, and whenever there is increased blood calcium level, it will provide a negative feedback mechanism on this effect, because there is the calcium level has gone up, the blood calcium level is up, so there is no need to activate the parathyroid, so there is a negative feedback mechanism. So that's it for today's video. This is very simple thyroid parathyroid gland. I hope you can you got it, you can understand it. So in next video we'll discuss about the pancreas and other glands. And if you like this video, please subscribe. Thank you.